Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of the Daily Crow. I'm Chris Phillips of the Spurs Up Show coming to you live. Going to talk about the Gamecocks defensive ends heading into the 2019 season, continue the position unit preview series with the defensive ends defensive tackles. Going to talk about the defensive tackles today. We just did the defensive ends. Before we get into all of that, this is a broadcast brought to you by our friends over at SeatGeek. SeatGeek, the best ticket buying app by far, the only ticket buying app I use. And the only one that I'd recommend. It's, guys, football season's just around the corner. It's time to start buying your football tickets. What better place to do it than through our friends at SeatGeek. Go to SeatGeek.com or download the SeatGeek app. Use the promo code SPURSUP. You're going to save $10 off your first purchase. They've actually got a great ticket rating system for you there as well. So you know exactly what you're getting before you click the buy button. It's really that simple. They've got tickets not just to South Carolina Gamecocks sporting events, NBA, NHL, NFL, AAF, whenever that comes back around, XFL, I mean, anything you can get tickets to, concerts, comedy club events, it doesn't have to be sports. Literally, they've got anything and everything you need. So again, that's our friends over at SeatGeek. You guys hear me talk about them all the time. That's SeatGeek. Go download the SeatGeek app or go to SeatGeek.com. Use the promo code SPURSUP. That's SPURSUP. You're going to get $10 off your first purchase. All right, like I mentioned, appreciate you guys tuning in. As you can see, the home studio is coming along. We got some decent lighting now, so it doesn't look really crazy behind me. But talking about the Gamecocks defensive tackles in 2019, I apologize, I said defensive ends before. Defensive tackles going into 2019 as we continue the position unit preview series. Looking back at the 2018 group of defensive tackles, Javon Kinlaw, really the guy that led the way. I think we can all agree with that. 38 tackles a season ago, 4.5 sacks, 5.5 tackles for loss. He was also SEC Defensive Player of the Week after his performance against Vanderbilt last season. Really with the tackles, the young guns I thought were really forced into action a year ago for South Carolina. You look at guys like Ricky Sandage, JJ Enagbare that I don't think would have played otherwise, but South Carolina really a lack of depth hit this group a year ago, and you know those guys are forced to play, and you saw it really take its toll when South Carolina played teams like Missouri, Georgia, Clemson, teams that could run the football. You know, it's very tough for the Gamecocks to stop the run. The Gamecocks gave up 4.5 yards per carry in 2018, not a very good number. So really there were a lot of young guys forced into action, but hopefully something that's going to pay off for Carolina as they come into this season. One guy I want to mention, Kobe Smith. I thought he was a pleasant surprise last year for Carolina. A guy that I really wasn't talking a whole lot about going into the 2018 season, but someone that Will Muschamp has continued to praise over and over again. You look at Kobe Smith, he's got really good size, and a guy that I think could be one of those seniors that Will Muschamp talked about that could be a guy that could really step up and make a name for himself this season. Let's meet the defensive tackles going into the 2019 season. You've got senior Javon Kinlaw, senior Kobe Smith, sophomore Ricky Sandage, freshman Zach Pickens, freshman Jaquez Sorrells, junior Devontae Davis, redshirt sophomore MJ Webb, redshirt junior Jabari Ellis, and sophomore JJ Enagbare, or as we better know him, Kingsley Enagbare, either or. Most improved this year for the defensive tackles, in my opinion, sophomore Rick Sandage. I think Rick Sandage, again, was forced into action, was a very highly touted recruit out of the state of North Carolina, out of Concord High School. A guy, though, that, to me, could really burst on the scene this year and be one of the most disruptive forces in the SEC from the tackle position. A guy that really has all the intangibles, everything you look for. He has the size, speed, athleticism, and a dude, again, that to me was forced into early action. But, again, I think it will pay off this year. I think you're going to see those SEC reps he got a year ago truly pay off for him. And I think Rick Sandage is going to be able to provide Javon Kinlaw with that help that he needs if Kinlaw is going to have the type of season we all hope to have. I think Sandage can be that guy that's on the other side of him that can give offensive fronts nightmares, if you will. So Rick Sandage to me most approved because I think he's one of the guys with the most upside on this defensive line, especially in the interior, that's going to be leading the Gamecocks for a couple more seasons to come. Best overall, it's pretty simple. Javon Kinlaw. I mean, listen, the guy's a beast. I'm really hoping there's a lot of people that have projected him as a first-round draft pick in the NFL, and I've had a lot of high praise for him. I think the biggest thing for Javon Kinlaw where he will benefit is that he's not having to really do it by himself anymore. I mean, you really kind of felt like last year with the lack of depth and things, Javon Kinlaw was certainly targeted in double, triple teams. You saw the holding week after week, and I think Javon Kinlaw, a guy that's going to benefit from the guys around him getting better, but is also going to benefit from this being his final season. He knows this is his money year. I mean, this is his NFL draft year. He's got to ball out and have a good year this year. I think that sense of urgency will be there, and Javon Kinlaw, listen, a guy that has all the athletic ability and the traits you want. I mean, he's got a first-round NFL draft pick's body. The one thing he's got to do is do it on a more consistent basis. I thought last year, again, I've talked before in the podcast, Javon Kinlaw was very good, but there would be times 2-3 quarters, a game at a time, where he would just disappear. And to be that type of guy, to be the type of player he wants to be and that South Carolina needs him to be, he's got to be better than that in 2019. Again, I think the guys around him being better is going to help him be better and his numbers be even better than they were a year ago. But to me, overall, it's no question Javon Kinlaw is the undisputed best player on the defensive front, at least in the interior for sure. Most experienced and will be the leader of that group as well. Which leads me perfectly into my season will be successful if. Season will be successful. Javon Kinlaw simply plays to his full potential. I mean, really, I think it's that simple. I think the other guys around him will be solid, but this group starts and ends with Javon Kinlaw. He is the guy in the interior that needs to have the big season for South Carolina. He is the guy everyone will sort of be looking at when the Gamecocks need a big stop on 3rd and short, 4th and short, or need stops in the run game. A guy like Javon Kinlaw is just someone that's got to play well for South Carolina. You think about the SEC, the teams that are really good in the SEC, they can do two things. They can run the football, they can stop the run. A guy like Javon Kinlaw's got to play well in order for you to stop the run this season. Also, I said something, hold opponents to less than 4 yards per carry. I know this is something Will Muschamp and his staff are really focused on, yards per carry, rushing the ball and yards per carry, stopping the run. Like I mentioned earlier, Gamecocks, 4.5 yards per carry in 2018 is what they gave up defensively, simply just not good enough to win ball games, not good enough to win at a high level. I think if you can get to under 4, and again, I think with what they got coming back, some of the youngsters that developed a year ago, you think of Rick Sandage, Kingsley Enagbare, guys that developed from being thrown in the fire last year, I think that goal is certainly achievable. And again, I think the Gamecocks defensive front, I've talked before, I think this is the best defensive front the Gamecocks have had since the 2013 season, I would argue. Overall grade for the group, I'm going to give them a B+ right now. I'm going to give them a B+. Was really close to giving them an A. And it really just depends on how a couple guys pan out against some of the younger guys. How a guy like freshman Zach Pickens fits in. I mean, he's certainly a guy as a 5-star kid, and saw him at Fan Day. He does not look like a true freshman. He's certainly a guy I think that can have a big impact. I mean, Will Muschamp talked about the seniors up front. They've got to have a big year. Can guys like Kobe Smith, Javon Kinlaw, can those guys step up, have their best seasons at Gamecocks? Keir Thomas, when he slides inside. Those guys need to have their best years in Garnet and Black for South Carolina to have the kind of year they want to have up front, which is stopping the run and being a disruptive force. I think they can do that, and right now I've got them overall grade at B+, So that's going to do it for me. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Obviously, going to be coming to you guys 2 more times at least with the Daily Crow this week. Was unable to do the show Friday, obviously, to do some family stuff, but going to be coming on Wednesday and Friday, continue the Position Unit Preview Series. Also going live on air with Mark Ryan on ESPN Upstate in 12 minutes. So you guys be sure to tune in. Should be a lot of fun. And also starting the Twitch streams tonight. 7 o'clock, South Carolina, North Carolina, doing the game simulations. I'll be talking over it. It should be a lot of fun. I'll post the link on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. You guys jump in there. It'll be a lot of fun. And I mean, hey, it's a good way to kill the time before we get to kick off on August 31st. So appreciate you guys tuning in. A lot more to come, obviously. This thing is just getting rolling. Appreciate it. We're 19 days from kickoff. Looking forward to it. Thanks, guys.